Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the first season of a newer anime, Demon Slayer, or
Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Thank you.
The series follows Tanjiro, a young boy whose family is taken out by demons.
Yeah,
all
already.
except for his younger sister Nezuko, who becomes half demon. Now refusing to give up on her, Tanjiro searches for a cure for Nezuko, becoming a demon slayer.
Yeah.
By becoming a demon slayer.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification bell to updates on future podcasts and older past videos.
And more demon slayer.
Right. Yeah, it didn't take long for it to go, south. Very first episode, 5 minutes in, everything goes down.
Well, I first had seen this evidence of this anime on Toonami one night. I was waiting for a show that we normally watch to come on, and I think it was the last maybe 8 to 10 minutes.
Right.
And when I saw it and saw what was going on, it looked pretty good, but I said, oh well, we've missed almost the whole season. It's almost over. We're not going to get a chance to see it. And then lo and behold, maybe a couple months later, it appeared on Netflix.
Right.
And we got to see it in its entirety. And boy, I wish we had seen it on Toonami when it originally aired.
Yeah, because we did not expect to really enjoy this immensely as a lot of other anime we had seen, and we gave it a chance, and it was definitely worth watching all 26 episodes.
It is spectacular. It is nothing like we imagined. The story is different, and fascinating. So this is just something that really stands out amongst all the different anime we've seen so far.
Yes. And all the characters, you can tell they're inspiration from other anime characters, but they still hold on their own as being something original. You can't confuse them for anybody else. It doesn't seem like a knockoff of anybody else. They're still their own characters, but when you see them, they will just remind you of these other characters. Like they have this guy who has a boar head. His name's Inosuke, I think.
Voiced by Bryce.
Yes, and as soon as you see him and how insane he acts, he reminds you of Bakugo.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And the first episode, I have to say, is probably one of the roughest of the entire series, because you see what happens and how he and Nezuko ended up in this predicament.
Right.
And it's tough. You're knowing that this is gonna go on throughout the entire series. However, the story is so well written and it's captivating, and you see that there's hope.
Right.
And just Tanjiro himself, you see how much he loves his family, and even that they're gone, and with his sister left, he's just intent on not losing his sister, and whatever it takes, he's going to save her.
Right.
And that there alone makes you just intent on seeing the rest of the anime.
Right.
Seeing how it's going to turn out, how he's going to do this, and what he's going to come up against.
Right. And then as the story goes on, of course, he meets the other characters, like we said, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and other demon slayers. Eventually, the entire, I guess you could say, a corpse of them, like Cleveland Knights and corpse. Yeah, they call them corpse or core?
It's called core.
A core, okay.
That's on the end, but it's pronounced core.
Okay, the core, demon slayer core, and how the training works. It's sort of like when they're enlisting, and when the way they have to take out the demons is actually very different. It's not just cut and dry. Well, at least for Tanjiro, it's not just cut and dry. But then they just kind of axe them, and then that's it. That's how you cut off the head like a vampire. But for Tanjiro, his goes a little differently. You find out that the demons were actually people at one point.
Yes, and that really first realized every single one of them had a backstory on how they ended up this way.
Right.
Which is really different.
Right. And then, especially with the first one he had during the training, you found out he was actually human at one point. You didn't think he was ever human. They just looked humanoid. But
yes.
now they actually, the way they become demons is that usually they start out human and they go through some type of turmoil or tragedy or something, and they get so wrought up in the anger that they're vulnerable to the head demon,
like the vampires,
right?
Supernatural,
right, and then they become demons because of that hatred they've held in there all those years. And then when Tanjiro takes them out, the thing is that he finds out why they're so angry, how they turn up like that. And when he takes them out, they actually have remorse, and it's sort of, he forgives them for what they do.
But also, it does take a scratch or blood or something from that head demon,
right?
The Michael Jackson demon.
Yes. Yes, and we kept seeing the villain like on these different
Smooth
things.
Criminal.
Yeah, we didn't know who he was till we watched it. Like, oh, this is where he's from. The villain is Michael Jackson. Okay.
And you know, they had done that before in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Where you had, he was dressed from head to toe. Not Kimberly, yeah, dressed from head to toe, like in the Smooth Criminal video. But this one here, not only does he have on the hat and things, but he's got the hair and his face and his features.
Right.
It's like they went full on Michael.
Yes.
But that's just one of the things that makes it interesting. And as you said, the way that he treats them at their time of passing really just makes you love his character even more.
Right.
Because he refuses to treat them as discarded things. He treats them as people who are worthy of compassion,
right,
when they're leaving.
Right. And it's funny because, you know, when it gets toward the end, the people actually do feel sorry that they had done it, that they regret their actions, regret not saying goodbye, and so many things, because it still shows at the core there were still people. So that's a really, really different take on these creatures, both for just an anime or just in media in general. We've never seen it done like that before. You even said that it kind of reminds you a bit of Supernatural, like when they had the vampires you saw they were before they became vampires, and you think that's where they kind of borrowed a similar thing from.
Well, especially the head vampire being able to do the turning, and then in Supernatural, if you wanted to be able to reverse vampirism, as long as the person hadn't taken blood or fed, then once you got rid of the vampire that did the turning, they would turn back.
Right.
And that sounds like it's kind of going to be what happens with Nezuko.
Yes.
Because she has the binder over her mouth, but while he was out training, the person who was responsible for getting him into the demon slayer profession watched over her, and he just kept saying to her in her sleep and giving her subconscious suggestions that she would never eat a human, she would never attack a human, and that they all were her family.
Right. And definitely got to bring up two other things. We already mentioned Inosuke. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Talk about Inosuke, thanks. And then the other one was Zenitsu, who's just insane. He's insane the whole time. He yells like 90% of his lines are yelling. He's crying. He wants a girlfriend. He's scared of everything until he gets knocked out, and then he becomes badass. Then he's got lightning powers and everything. Like, oh man, he should go to sleep again.
And then when he wakes up, he doesn't remember anything.
Right? He's like, you seriously don't know you just did that? And the other thing that we need to mention is that before it leads, it gets towards the end of the season, it leads, before we get to that, I'm sorry, I gotta jump from here to there, would be the setting of the show. Yes. I thought it was in like feudal Japan or something like Inuyasha, but it actually looks like it's taking place in the 20s or the 30s, and they just have like, it's sort of side by side, it's sort of like a fusion of time periods in one. Like if they're in the forest or in the countryside, they live in another time period. Then you get out of there into a city, they live in the 1920s or 30s, I believe. So I thought that was actually pretty interesting to add in, and adding in a little bit of somewhat modern things in there.
Definitely. And before the end of the season, you get to see him do some really intense training, breathing training on how to control his breathing and be a more effective demon slayer, and be able to pull off these different
I guess they're moves. I guess they're
moves. That's
yeah.
what I'm putting in different moves. And it gets pretty crazy.
Yes.
But we don't want to spoil a lot for you. We don't want to tell you too much of what goes on in here. Because the only thing we will tell you is that after the end of the season, Mugen Train is definitely canon, because you've got to watch it to know what happens next before you get to season 2, which is coming out this fall.
Right. So it leads up right into the film. So it's not like this an in-between story they threw in at all. It's actually, like you said, leads right into it, which
and
is
it's
pretty
brilliant.
awesome.
It's absolutely brilliant.
So you're not
Why
missing anything.
Has any other anime or animation show done that, where they tie in the movies to the actual story?
Right.
It's brilliant.
Right, and that's pretty awesome. So we have not seen, as of recording this, we have not seen the Mugen Train movie.
But we will be seeing it because it's going to be available soon on streaming, and we cannot wait to watch it.
Yes.
So stay tuned so you can hear our podcast on that as well.
Yes.
So, if you were lucky enough and fortunate enough to be smart enough to watch Demon Slayer the first season on Toonami, let us know what you think in the comments below. Who's your favorite character? Was it wonderful being able to watch it during its original airing? And are you looking forward to seeing Mugen Train and season 2 as well? If you haven't seen it, it's available on Netflix in its entirety for season 1. And give it a watch. Come back and let us know what you think as well.
Right. And be sure to like, subscribe, and click notifications to get updates on future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
And my favorite character is, of course, Tanjiro.
Yes. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Masco Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.